Sagittarius. Welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for May of 2022. We are the astrologers of Pandora Astrology. I'm Jamie Kale Miller. I'm in Berkeley, California.
I'm Julia Meehouse in San Francisco.
Well, Sag, get ready to expand your creativity as your planet Jupiter moves into your fifth house. It's a great time for blatant self-promotion and branding. Meanwhile, Mercury retrograde and the Gemini new moon will remind you that your relationships are more important than your ego. Might be a good buffering system going on there. If you end up with questions about anything that is raised in this horoscope, a natal and transit reading would be a great place to get those answered, especially about timing of any of these events that you might want to lock down. In the natal and transit reading, you can get answers about anything, no judgment, and you'll find a link for that in the YouTube description below. Well, I want to begin with Jupiter because Jupiter is like your best friend, your ruling planet. And Jupiter begins the month traveling along through the end of Pisces and will be popping on into Aries, which is your fifth house, right about here mid-month on the 11th. Jupiter brings expansion, ebullience, enthusiasm, and excitement wherever it goes. And it tends to fill you with confidence and a sense that things are possible. And when it moves into the house of creativity and self-expression, well, it really couldn't be a better time for shining up your brand, for working on creative projects. And Jupiter will be here for about a year. It's going to be in and out of this house, so it won't be a year altogether, but it will be a year in pieces. And getting on top of this transit and learning how to really squeeze all the juice out of it is, I think it's a pretty great idea. The next thing I want to tell you about is that Ceres is finishing up Gemini, leaving your seventh house and moving into your eighth house, which is interesting because Ceres is not so comfortable in the eighth house. Ceres is a planet to rule Taurus and the second house and has to do with your own possessions, your own finances, your own body, and your own eating. And all of those things can get a little bit murky or get their boundaries crossed in the eighth house arena. This is a house that has to do with sharing. And so when Ceres enters this house, she brings her themes of good stewardship to the murky arena of that borderland where your finances intersect with your partner's, where your body intersects with your partner's body in the realm of sexuality, and the very emotional realm of the intimacy that you share. So for the couple of months that Ceres is here, plan to be a really good steward, drawing healthy, appropriate lines around spaces that belong to you or belong to your partner, and to bring all of the integrity and organization that you can muster to the finances that you share with partners, whether that's in business or personal life. And now I want to just bring a really brief hint to Juno, which is traveling along through your fourth house. And Juno is a planet of partnership. And as she travels along through the fourth house, in the near future, but not immediately, in the next couple of months, she's going to be going retrograde, which is going to put your relationships, your committed relationships, again, whether those are business or personal, into a period of retrospection. And for you, this is going to really land in your home life. So to get ahead of that and have it be less messy when it happens, now is a really good time to start thinking ahead about ways to make positive changes in your home life insofar as that impacts your committed relationships. Excuse me. When you start talking, Julie, I think I'll go get a glass of water. Okay. And that's about now. So,
all right.
Yeah, you want to speak to Mercury and so forth?
Absolutely. Hey there, Sagittarius. So Mercury is going retrograde again, and that happens about 3 times a year. It's going on this month. Mercury is a planet of communication and mentation. So when it goes retrograde, it can therefore be a time of miscommunications as well as a time of review of wherever Mercury is in your chart. So Mercury starts the month in your 7th house of partnership. The 7th house rules your marriage or long-term relationship. And it also rules business partnerships if you happen to be in business with somebody, as well as contractors. So the people that you hire to give you advice, like, a doctor would totally count, as well as a lawyer. So with Mercury in the 7th house, at the beginning of this month, it's a time of increased communication with your partner. Maybe you like having them there to sort of bounce your ideas off of. And then by May 10th, Mercury is going to go retrograde in this house. And it's a several week cycle that's going to take us through the month. So when Mercury's retrograde in your 7th house, this is a time of miscommunications with your partner. Maybe you guys aren't seeing eye to eye on some issue, or you're walking away from the same conversation with totally different meanings, or maybe you're also reviewing and rethinking aspects of your partnership and relationship as well. Now, Mercury retrograde in the 7th can also mean that maybe you're having to rethink some of the people you've hired to have given you advice. Like maybe you're thinking, yeah, I should get a second opinion. Maybe I should hire a second lawyer to get, another set of eyes on this issue. So definitely a time of review in all those areas of life. Now on May 21st, you might gain a little bit of clarity because we're having Lesser Epiphany Day. And that's when retrograde Mercury conjoins the sun exactly. So it's a time of insights. So you might be getting those insights into your partnership, where things may have broken down in your communication or other issues you guys are working on, or insights into the contractors and people that you're hiring. Now let's have a look at Venus, the planet of art, beauty, and relationships. So the first day of the month, she's in your 4th house, where she spent most of last month, bringing her pleasure and luck to your home and family life. Then by May 2nd, Venus enters one of her favorite houses, the 5th house, which is the fun house of the zodiac. The 5th house rules diversions and creativity and fun and amusement. So it rules things like clubs and casinos and festivals and things, just fun stuff. And it also rules your children too. So on May 2nd, until the 28th, this is a wonderful transit too for all of the single Sages out there, because this is also the house of dating. And if you're with somebody, you might be enjoying them in, going out and having fun together. If you guys play games together or like to gamble or like to club, this is a really good time for it. Venus in the 5th is also wonderful if you're a creative type and you're just trying to get those juices flowing. Then by May 28th, Venus is going to hop into your 6th house of work, where she'll be bringing some of her pleasure and harmony in that area of your life. And you should totally tune into our next month's video, because I'll be going over that transit in a lot more depth. Now, we do have to talk about Mars a little bit. That's the planet of action and activity. It spends most of the month, so until the 24th, in your 4th house. The 4th house is the house of family and home. So with Mars in the 4th, it's a really high energy time in your household. Maybe there's lots of projects to do around the house. Maybe you're working from home and just working away really hard. Mars in the 4th can sometimes bring some frustrations and disagreements with the people that you live with. Also, that can include your family too, which is represented by the 4th house. The 4th house also rules your past. So you might notice you're getting a little bit itchy and irritated about something that may have happened a long time ago that might still be preoccupying you a little bit. Now, Mars in the 4th is a wonderful time to get a lot of stuff done around your home. So if you can shift the energy in more constructively by doing a lot of projects, especially very physical ones at home, that will definitely help mitigate some of Mars's crunchier effects in this house. Then by May 24th, Mars is entering your 5th house. Venus has been there for most of the month, and they're going to be in there for about a couple of days together. Then she's leaving, and Mars is going to hang out there. there. So that's going to be a big shift in the 5th house this month when that happens, because where Venus was bringing a little bit of harmony and pleasure, you know, Mars is a lot more active and sometimes can run into a few frustrations. So since the 5th represents your children, you know, you might have some frustrations or annoyances with the kids in your life, or because the 5th house rules fun and activity, you might be super driven to go out and have a good time. And it can be kind of frustrating if you're not really, if your life isn't really conducive to that right now. Like if you have too much work and responsibilities as well, it can feel a little bit of stir crazy. But Mars in the 5th would be really, really wonderful for sports. If you happen to be a sports lover, the 5th house can rule arenas. So that could mean going out to watch sports, or if you play sports yourself or do anything kind of active for fun, like running a triathlon or something, that could be a wonderful transit for it.
You know what else I'm thinking, Julie, is that this is a house of gambling, speculation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and with Jupiter here, and don't take this advice, Sagittarius, and go crazy with it. But if you are a regular gambler with really disciplined habits, and you go and you play cards every weekend, you tend to walk away with more money than you went in with because you're disciplined and you know what you're doing, then Jupiter in this house could bring a lot of luck. But I would have to say that with Mars here, that throws in, you know, not only quite a bit of impulsiveness and energy into that, but it can really throw off your game. So don't, you know, overreact if you lose.
Nice.
So I want to talk about the moons. We have a lunar eclipse. This is the last eclipse of this eclipse season. Always nice to be able to say that. Eclipses tend to be difficult. They show us our shadow. We find ourselves learning, you know, things about ourselves that maybe we don't really want to look at every day. And this particular eclipse is happening in Scorpio with a moon in Scorpio. It's a lunar eclipse. That adds intensity to it, and it's also a very total eclipse. So this particular moon lands in your 12th house, and some of what this suggests is that you may find a lot of emotions surging up from unconscious places, things that you've really not been looking at, or things that are coming straight out of the unconscious of the family system that you were raised in. So family secrets coming to the surface, attended by high emotion with a lot of intensity, possibly some vibes of power and control. So watch out for that, and try to have it not be, you know, something that wrecks something. So watch out for that around the 15th especially. And because the sun is here with the North Node in the 6th house, this suggests both a challenge and a solution. The challenge is try to avoid having those emotions spill over into your workplace, making you look bad. And the positive thing is that leaning into your good habits, your good rhythms, and the ways that you stay healthy will help you get through this eclipse. So now I want to talk about the sun is going to change signs. That's a seasonal shift. The sun moves into Gemini on the 21st. Coincidentally, this is the same day that Julia spoke of as Lesser Epiphany Day. When the season of Gemini begins, it's a time of stimulation. It's like butterflies, you know, crowding a field and hanging out on all of the many flowers, the wildflowers. That's very much the feel of Gemini. And this moves the sun into your 7th house. So partnership becomes a very big theme when the sun moves here. And whenever the sun enters a new house, you want to start paying good attention to that area. Shining the spotlight of your high quality attention will cause things to thrive in whatever arena the sun is traveling through. And that being the domain of relationships, it's time to pay some high quality attention to your partner and to cultivating your relationships so that they can thrive. Whether we're talking a close friendship, whether we're talking a business partner, or a coach that you may be working with, or or, a spouse, certainly, other kind of long-term partner. So Lesser Epiphany Day is going to bring insights that will help you to plant new seeds as the new moon comes on, which is right about here on the 29th or 30th. Let me see. Yeah, it's the 30th. So when the sun and the moon meet up, we call that a new moon, and it's a time for new beginnings, the planting of seeds that we don't see results from right away because they have to germinate and sprout and grow. But this is really the reason why to shed your high quality attention like sunlight in this area, and begin something new in your relationships because it can thrive. Well, Sag, that's the stuff we had for you. And you can always find your other horoscope on our website, pandoraastrology.com, by clicking the horoscopes tab. And if this horoscope moves you to want a reading to find out more detail, especially about timing of events that are going on in your chart, you can get that natal and transit reading in the readings tab on our website. And you can get classes as well. And check out the monthly forecast because there's more about those moons and Jupiter. And until next time, we'll see you around the cosmos. Bye-bye.
Bye.